Hi everyone, I'm Miss Katie from Rockland Public Library, and today we're going to be learning about emperor penguins from the story The Emperor's Egg. The Emperor's Egg is written by Martin Jenkins and illustrated by Chapman. Let's see what we learned today. This book starts out with a little introduction about what we're going to be learning in the book, and it says, there are 17 different kinds of penguins. But the emperor is the only one that breeds in Antarctica in the midwinter. The adults arrive at their breeding areas. Often it's more than 100 miles from the sea. In the late autumn, a few weeks later, the female lays a single egg and returns to the sea, leaving the male to keep the egg warm until it hatches a couple months later. At first, after it's born, the male and the female take turns taking care of the chick. But soon it's big enough to be left alone while both parents go swimming in the sea for food. By the time it's 4 months old, the young penguin's coat of down has been replaced with adult feathers. It's now also set off to the sea where it can start taking care of itself. So let's see in a little more detail what we can learn today about the emperor penguin and its egg. Down at the very bottom of the world, there's a huge island that's almost completely covered in snow and ice. It's called Antarctica, and it's the coldest, windiest place on Earth. Can you say that word, Antarctica? It's a fun one to say, Antarctica. Right there, and it's so cold. The weather is bad enough there in the summer, but in the winter, it's really terrible. It's hard to imagine anything actually living there. But wait, what's that shape over there? Can it be? Yes, it's a penguin. And it's not just any old penguin either. It's a male emperor penguin, the biggest penguin in the world. And he's doing a very important job. He's taking care of his egg. He didn't lay himself, of course. Male emperor penguins are about 4 feet tall. How tall are you? Are you about 4 feet tall? It might even be a bigger penguin than you, I bet it is. The emperor penguin is about 4 feet tall. The females are a little bit smaller. The penguin's mate laid this egg a couple weeks ago, but very soon after, she turned around and waddled off into the sea. That's where female emperor penguins spend most of their winter, swimming around, getting as fat as they can and eating as much as they can, and generally having a nice time as far as we can tell. Emperor penguins eat mainly fish, squid, and tiny shrimp-like animals called krill. This leaves the father penguin on the ice with the egg. Now, the most important thing about egg sitting is to stop the egg from getting cold. You see, it's trying to keep the egg warm this whole time. Inside the egg, the penguin chick is starting to grow. If the egg gets cold, the chick will die. That means it has to be kept off the ice and out of the wind. And what better way to do that than to rest it on your feet and tuck it right under your tummy. See how it's tucked under? Nice and protected, which is just what the father penguin does. And that's how he stays for a whole 2 months until the egg is ready to hatch. Can you imagine it? Standing in the freezing cold with an egg on your feet for 2 whole months? Female emperor penguins lay 1 egg in May or June, which is the beginning of the winter season in Antarctica. What's more, there's nothing for the father to eat on land. And because he's egg sitting, he can't go off into the sea to feed. So that means 2 months sitting on an egg with no dinner, no breakfast, no lunch, and no snacks. I don't know about you, but that would be very hard. Luckily, the penguins don't mind. They have thick feathers and lots of fat under their skin to help keep them warm. And when it gets really cold and windy, they all snuggle up together and shuffle over the ice in a great big huddle. You see how all of the fathers have come together to snuggle up and keep each other warm? Most of the time, the huddle trundles along very slowly, but sometimes when the penguins get to particularly slippery slope, they slide down on their tummies, pushing themselves along with their flippers, always remembering to take very careful care of the egg and trying hard not to bump into each other. Whee! Even though the males keep the eggs tucked up tight under their tummies when they slide, it does sometimes roll away and break. And that's how the father penguins spend their winter, until one day he hears chirp, 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 chirp. Oh, look how cute. His egg is starting to hatch. It takes a day or so, but finally the egg cracks right open and out pops a penguin chick. Now the father penguin has two jobs to do. He has to keep the chick warm and he has to feed it. Wait a second, he has to feed it. The chick is only about 6 inches tall at first and much too tall to keep warm by himself. How is he gonna feed the little chick? The chick is too small to be taken to the sea to catch food, and it can't be left on the ice. Well, down deep in the father's penguin throat, there's a pouch. He makes something that's a little like milk, and that's what he feeds that hungry chick. You see him putting his face down toward the chick so the chick can put its face right up into the beak. The father penguin can only make enough milky stuff to feed the chick for a couple of weeks. But just as he is about to run out, a dot appears on the horizon. It gets closer and closer. So can you imagine making milky stuff in your throat that your baby would drink? So that's what he does. He keeps feeding and feeding his baby even though he hasn't eaten for months. And then they see someone coming. Closer, closer, closer. It's Mom. She starts trumpeting, hello, and Father Penguin starts trumpeting, hello, and the chick whistles. The racket goes on for hours, and it really does sound like they're extremely pleased to see each other. Every adult penguin has its own special call, like a fingerprint. Chicks have their own special whistle, too. You see it whistling down here? As soon as things get calmed down, the mother penguin gets sick right in the mother's mouth. Yuck, you might say. Yum, says the chick, and it gobbles it all up. Now it says get sick, but it doesn't really get sick. It just has been holding that food and then it kind of barfs it back up again to eat. So the mother feels fine. That was the plan all along, but she uses the food that she's been catching to feed her chick. It's the mother's turn to take care of the chick now, while the father sets off to the sea for a meal of his own. There he goes. Bye-bye. The end. Great listening, everyone. And if you want to try to be your own Papa Penguin at home, find a ball around your house and see if you can move around with it right between your ankles. Now remember, when you're walking, you can't let it touch the ground because the ground is ice. So you want to keep it away from the ground and see if you can move around. Oops, I dropped my book. If you can walk around with your egg and keep it safe from the ground. Maybe you can even have a race with your family members. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to see you all soon. Bye-bye.